Australia's vast coastline and maritime heritage mean that thousands of undiscovered shipwrecks lie on the bottom of the ocean, many of them representing tales of mystery. Now a team of amateur divers have found one of them, the MS Fairwind, which went down in a mini-cyclone 60 years ago, losing all 17 crew. For almost a year, the divers have been braving currents and sharks to make the 90-metre descent to the sea floor and document this forgotten history. Along the way, they've stumbled on a man who narrowly missed being on board the Fairwind, and the story of his good fortune is as remarkable as that of the wreck. Connor Duffy reports.
The small, sleepy village of Southwest Rocks on the New South Wales mid-north coast is a haven for fishermen, holidaymakers and divers. But deep in the ocean lies the untold stories of those to whom these seas have not been so kind. Among them, the lost crew of the MV Fairwind.
The last message that was sent from the Fairwind was sheltering behind North Solitary Island. And that was the last they heard of it.
Since that destructive night in June 1950, no trace of the MV Fairwind has been found. For the past 9 months, a small team of amateur divers has been searching for it, scouring the seabed 90 metres down.
Fun, it's different, the challenge. Also diving a newfound wreck is pretty special. It's something that a lot of divers don't get to do.
After months of preparation and research, today an expensive and dangerous mission is finally underway. These 4 men, acting on a tip-off from local fishermen and dive enthusiasts, are about to plunge to the bottom to see if a blip on the sonar really is the MV Fairwind.
Well, let's go down, swim around, come back. All right, all good? Yeah, for me there's always a bit of anxiety, but you use it for good. You know, I always think fear keeps you alive. That anxiety goes into making sure that systems are checked and double-checked before you actually go in the water.
Effectively, if something goes wrong at that depth and you don't fix the problem quickly enough, then effectively you're not going to make it back up again.
This stretch of coast is a famous graveyard for ships, and the divers believe they'll find the wreck of the MV Fairwind 90 metres down on the edge of the continental shelf. Risking decompression sickness and fighting through a fearsome current, the divers reach the seafloor for the moment they've been hoping for.
At about 70 metres you start to see the sort of, the big chunks of rust coming out to you, and the big king posts sort of stick out, and you sort of almost bump into them as you go down. But pretty exhilarating sort of experience. Yeah, it's pretty quite thrilling sort of thing to see.
As well as discovering the wreck of the MV Fairwind, the divers have also found a living link to the boat, 85-year-old Albert Morris, who is a former crewman of the MV Fairwind.
And the other crew were very similar to me, the young blokes having a ball in life. We had a great job. It was just fishing, shooting and hunting around the New Guinea coast and the adjacent South Pacific islands.
But Albert Morris gave up the adventure of his life on the islands to rush back to Sydney when he received a Dear John letter from his girlfriend Jean, then a young nurse.
When Albert arrived, we were working in the wards. They said, "You wouldn't believe it, but do you know who's here?" And I said, "No, it's Albert." And I mean, we were shocked, we didn't know he was coming home or anything. So for 2 days they hid me. Finally, he wormed his way into one of the wards to visit someone, and oh my goodness, it was Albert. He said, "How could you write such a letter?" He said, "I absolutely adore you."
The young Albert convinced Jean to marry him, and a short time later he found he'd narrowly avoided passage on a doomed ship.
It was an incredible feeling to think that that letter that Jean sent me saved my life. That was the main theme that went through my mind at the time.
After months of painstaking, self-funded work, the dive team has invited Albert and Jean to the first viewing of their vision of the ship at the ABC. Albert Morris is so far the only living link to the boat, and the divers are curious to see if Albert recognises the ship as the Fairwind.
There's the engine room down there.
Engine room?
Yeah.
They went down in a storm. They talk about 13-metre waves. A mini typhoon, a mini cyclone, took the vessel over.
Tim Smith is a diver and archaeologist with the New South Wales Heritage Department. He says the divers have played a crucial role in documenting this forgotten history.
This is one of the most critical parts of the story of this shipwreck. So many people went down, 17 lives were lost, and all the families would be around and probably contactable. So we have to work very carefully with the wreck site and any remains because of the loss of life that is associated with the site.
I think the desire is just that sort of discovery. I mean, it's really nice to know. I think there's a lot more people more into history than me, but certainly it's quite exciting, and there's almost like you just want to know what you don't know.
For Albert and Jean Morris, it's a more personal story. They recently celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary, and the discovery has the couple reminiscing about how lucky they've been to share a life together.
The ship is indelibly imprinted on my mind, as is my marriage. We got married, and it was a very bad sensation to know that as it was coming back, it went down.
I'm just glad that he came back. Because he was certainly very handsome. And I'm glad I didn't let him go.